Hello everyone, welcome to Highway Dragon Gaming. In Skyrim, many characters hide dark secrets beneath their seemingly innocent appearances. Today, we're diving into 5 dark conspiracy theories hidden within Skyrim, and trust me, some of them are far more disturbing than you might expect.
The bloodiest beef in the Reach.
On a cold day in Skyrim, a steaming bowl of venison stew would be pure comfort. But whatever you do, don't buy meat from that butcher in Markarth. He may look like an ordinary merchant, but he's far more sinister than he appears. If you've taken Namira's Daedric quest in Understone Keep, you'll know he's also a participant in Markarth's cannibalistic cult.
The bloodiest beef in the Reach.
Although the meat on his stall is labelled as venison and horse meat, it could very well be a cover. In the north of Falkreath lies the Half Moon Mill. Its owner, Hurt, is a vampire living a carefully constructed double life. Inside the small shack beside the mill, something unsettling can be found. On a wooden table, animal meat lies neatly arranged. Mixed among it are human bloody rags, and beneath the table, intact human ribs. This may be an example of human flesh being disguised as animal meat. So who can say the meat he's selling isn't made from someone like us? Of course, if you happen to be a vampire, just forget I said anything. Ysolda is one of Whiterun's most beloved characters, and many players choose her as their spouse. But what most people might not realize is that your beloved wife may have some shady secrets. She could very well be addicted to drugs. She gives the Dragonborn a quest to fetch a mammoth tusk, and many players probably assume it's just Bethesda's dark humor, and that the tusk is intended for her private use in the bedroom. In fact, since this mammoth tusk is given by Ysolda to the Khajiit caravans, it might actually be intended as a skooma ingredient. Some modders even use powdered mammoth tusk in skooma recipes. Ysolda is closely connected to the Khajiit caravans, often expressing concern for their difficult lives, their lack of home, and how nobody believes in them except her. And of course, the Khajiit are notorious for selling moon sugar and skooma. Additionally, if we travel to Sleeping Tree Camp, we can find an orc who was killed by giants inside a nearby cave. A note found on his body suggests that Ysolda had previously been involved in skooma transactions. But the creepiest detail is this. If Ysolda is indeed a dealer, why is her house marked as empty by the Thieves Guild? Where did all her money go? There are 2 possibilities. 1. Ysolda hid her earnings so well that even the Thieves Guild could not find them. 2. She is addicted, spending all her money on skooma. So, do you think Ysolda has a drug problem? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Once you progress far enough in the main quest, you can begin the quest to obtain the Oghma Infinium at Septimus Cygnus' outpost, located in the far north of Skyrim. The Oghma Infinium, also known as the Tome of Power, is an ancient tome of knowledge and an artifact of great power. By reading the book, you can choose to increase your combat, magic, or stealth skills by 5 levels. However, if we take a closer look at the book's cover, we may notice something disturbing. It appears to be made of skins. During the quest to obtain the book, we are required to collect the blood of a Dunmer, Bosmer, Altmer, Orsimer, and Farmer. The patches of skin on the cover seem to correspond to the skin tones of these elven races. When I realized this, I was genuinely shocked. For more than a decade, I had always assumed the cover was made of stitched cloth or fabric. But if we look closely, we can see that there are 6 different types of skin on the book. What could the 6th one be? The answer may be the Dwemer, the long-extinct race. In Morrowind, the last surviving Dwemer still exists, but because he is afflicted with Corpus disease, his skin is actually paler than normal. If we were to materialize the Dwemer ghosts from Morrowind, we would see that their skin closely resembles the patch in the lower left corner of the tome. I speculate that, because elves live far longer than other races, Hermaeus Mora, the Daedric Prince of Knowledge, may have selected the most learned individuals from each elven race, and somehow absorbed their wisdom, thereby acquiring all of their knowledge. Hidden in the pool at the entrance of Dragonsreach floats a skeleton. It's located directly beneath the bridge, so you have to jump into the water to see it. This raises a chilling question. Why is there a skeleton right at the main entrance of Dragonsreach? And who was it in life? One theory suggests that this skeleton might be Jarl Balgruf's wife or mistress. Balgruf has 3 children, yet his wife never appears in the game. When the player reaches level 20, they can trigger the quest, The Whispering Door. In this quest, we learn that the Daedric Prince Mephala, who specializes in plot and betrayal, whispers in the basement of Dragonsreach, manipulating one of Balgruf's children, Nelkir, and turning him brooding and violent.
So, the disgusting pig sent you to bother me. One day, I'll tear his face apart so he can leave me alone.
Nelkir reveals that only the Jarl and court mage Farengar have the keys to the basement. This detail suggests that the Jarl may have noticed something unusual and tasked Farengar with investigating it. Even more intriguing, Nelkir mentions that he does not share the same mother as his siblings, hinting at complex family dynamics. In the basement, Mephala grants the player the Ebony Blade, a weapon that only unlocks its full power after killing 10 people who are emotionally close to the wielder. This implies that Mephala might also manipulate others into killing their own loved ones. Besides the Dragonborn, only the Jarl, Farengar, and Nelkir know about these secrets. Farengar's closest relationships remain unclear, so who is most likely the person closest to both Jarl and Nelkir? Almost certainly, it's Nelkir's mother. Therefore, many players believe that the skeleton at the entrance of Dragonsreach is very likely Nelkir's mother, killed under Mephala's influence, possibly by Jarl or Nelkir themselves. Thinking about it sends shivers down your spine. If you have a different theory, feel free to discuss it in the comments. There may be even more hidden secrets waiting to be uncovered. Rorikstead is located at the westernmost part of Whiterun Hold. Unlike the familiar Riverwood, Rorikstead lies amid mountains and open grasslands with no rivers nearby. Logically, this land shouldn't be suitable for farming. But strangely, Rorikstead has several large, thriving farms. The player can ask the farm owner Juan about the secret behind his thriving farm despite the harsh climate. Juan's response is rather official and perfunctory.
Secret? What makes you think there's a secret? There are no secrets here, my curious friend. Our prosperity is simply the result of hard work, good fortune, and the blessings of the gods.
So where do their good fortune and blessings of the gods come from? Here I present a dark theory. The villagers of Rorikstead may be performing sinister rituals, sacrificing adult women in exchange for unusually high crop yields. The most immediate evidence for this theory is the extremely skewed gender ratio in the town. 6 adult men and only 1 adult woman. Moreover, soul gems have been found in 2 of the town's 4 houses. While this alone may not prove anything, in Juane's house, one of the soul gems is placed near a book titled Spirit of the Daedra. This book describes the Daedra's arrogant view of humans, portraying them as mere prey. One particular passage stands out. We serve by choice. We serve the strong so that their strength might shield us. So why does Juane subscribe to that same mindset, viewing humans as mere prey and pledging service to the powerful in return for their protection? Furthermore, the only adult woman in Rorikstead is an high elf rather than a human, which seems to further support this theory. However, the evidence so far is not conclusive. What truly convinced me of the sacrificial theory is what happened in a small hut north of the town. As you approach the hut, you immediately notice 4 skeevers gathered outside, creating an ominous feeling. When you step inside, 2 more skeevers rush at you. The owner of the hut, Lund, lies dead on his bed. On the nearby table sits a bottle of poison. At first glance, the conclusion seems obvious. Lund was killed by skeevers, and the poison was meant to deal with them. But here's where Bethesda really messes with you. If Lund had been attacked in his sleep, why is his body lying so neatly on the bed, with no signs of struggle or blood? Why do his eyes appear sunken and dark? Let's take another look at this bottle of poison. A bottle worth 103 gold, whereas the poison that the owner of Frostflow Lighthouse bought to kill skeevers was only a weak poison worth 58 gold. The truth becomes clear. He died from poisoning, and this strong poison was used by him to kill himself. Meanwhile, the graveyard outside the hut perfectly explains his motive for suicide. On the grave lies a silver ring, which strongly suggests that this grave belongs to his wife. And when we connect this to nearby Rorikstead, the picture becomes clear. She was likely sacrificed by the villagers in exchange for the town's unnaturally fertile lands. Alright, these are the 5 spine-chilling conspiracy theories I wanted to share with you. If you have a different take on any of the theories, or if you know of even darker secrets, feel free to share them in the comments. Thanks so much for watching and for all your support.